Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for two, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Mike Trout, will he ask for a trade? And maybe I'm a bit of a Neanderthal for asking this, and people are going to say, listen, he's never leaving. I refuse to accept that we're just not going to get Mike Trout postseason baseball ever again. Because clearly when healthy, he can still do it. But he's also rarely healthy and still kind of expensive. It's complicated.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played. It definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hour number 2 on a Football Friday, SportsGrid Network, the early line. I'm Donnie Rightside. He is Joe Ranieri. This is how we break it down. This is how the energy stays high. You made it through the week. Congratulations. A few more hours of your workday, and you'll be sitting back and basking in the glory of an unbelievable sports weekend, which does include the SportsGrid Network. Did you know, Joe Ranieri, on Saturday morning, SportsGrid College Football Today, myself and Joe Lisi. Did you know Pro Football Today on Sunday morning, an extended extra hour here to get you ready for the game that's going to be played overseas? That's Kevin Walsh and also Joe Lisi. Did you know in-game lives all across the board this weekend, which I'm pretty sure, Joe, does that star you this weekend? Are you on one of these vibes? What do you got?
Yeah, each and every Saturday and Sunday, the 3 o'clock Eastern time slate, we jump on in there, me and Scotty Wetzel on Saturday. And then me and Adam Kaufman do the 4 o'clock games in the NFL on Sunday.
Does that even work? Like, you actually get paid to watch football games and commentate and bet and win money? Is that what I'm hearing from the weekend crew?
Listen, somebody's got to do it, Tony.
Man.
Somebody's got to do it. Just saying.
Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to beat the Los Angeles Rams. The Philadelphia Eagles did it. Could the San Francisco 49ers do it on a Thursday night on the road? And by the way, I understand the evolution of football and fan bases here. The Rams used to have a team in Los Angeles. They played in Anaheim. They moved to St. Louis, and you sort of rip the shreds out of the fabric of your hometown fan base. But I always get a kick out of, Joe, when the 49ers travel to play anybody, whether it's the Chargers and or the Rams down in Southern California, it's a 49ers home game. And by the way, 26-23. Not very many people expected the 49ers to win as that line went from 3.5 to 4.5 to 5.5 to 6.5 to 7.5 to 8.5 to 9.5 at some outlets. The Niners come away with a victory as we start the early lineup here. Mac Jones and the boys getting it done.
33 of 49, 342, and 2 touchdowns. That is Mac Jones with a bum knee, no less. Listen, a lot of things went well for the 49ers yesterday. A lot of things went wrong for the Rams, and a lot of those things that went wrong are, once again, self-inflicted wounds, whether it be special teams, turnovers, fumbles. They left quite a few points that would have been more than enough not only to win but get the cover last night, but instead you got a unbelievable tough performance by the 49ers, who go on the road and really take control of the NFC West now, Donnie. They are firmly in control of that division.
And buying some time, too. Like, you're not supposed to win these games. It's almost like you banked a couple lucky wins early in the season to sort of hold off the tide of everybody getting injured, and maybe you can make that run. Them winning football games is such a bonus right now. And typically, Joe, for a Thursday night football game for a road team, and that injured, to have that performance, that was incredible. And also, sloppiness is usually what's expected on Thursday Night Football. How about each team, Joe, with 27 first downs in this game? You take a look at the total yards for the 49ers, 407. The total yards for the Rams, 456. Game goes over the total when people were betting it lower. You take a look at the favorite for the Rams, everybody betting that higher. It goes to the San Francisco 49ers. And as you said to start the show, yeah, any given Sunday, any given Thursday as well is certainly what we saw. Any given Sunday to play football when you're healthy, and that's what you're hoping for. Not going to be the case for Terry McLaurin this weekend. He's going to sit this one out, but Jaden Daniels on the way back on the men should help out. But you never want to be down your top wide receiver, I don't know, unless you're the 49ers.
No, you never want to be down your top wide receiver here, especially for a guy that the reason you signed him to that contract is because, listen, him and your young quarterback have some rapport there. It'd be great to be able to get him out there because he has struggled a little bit. But the reality is, listen, Washington, they got to get a little bit better in a few areas here. I think this is going to be an interesting game against the Chargers. They got to fly across country. They're still a little banged up here, but maybe nobody more banged up than what we've got on the offensive line of the Chargers here. So I think this is a big game for Daniels and the Commanders.
By the way, you take a look at injuries. Nobody's going to celebrate like, oh, we got injured, we should be okay. The San Francisco 49ers are 4-1, one of the most injured teams in football. And they say, well, what about the Baltimore Ravens? They're injured. They still winning football games. They lose this game, Joe. They'll be 1-4 on the season. Unheard of down there in the Charm City. But it seems like the information isn't getting better as the week goes on. Kyle Hamilton, one of the best safeties in football and the highest paid safety. I don't know if he's going to make it to the starting gate on Sunday. My goodness, the injuries are piling up there for the Baltimore Ravens, Joe.
Yeah, and the money keeps coming in on Houston. Yep. Be very careful here. Kind of hard to trust a team that can barely score 6 points through 3 quarters against the Tennessee Titans on the road. I don't know. This has got trap written all over it, Donnie, but there is no doubt it's a well-coached team, and we saw what well-coached teams, Donnie, can do, even with backups last night with the 49ers. You really think Harbaugh is not going to have these guys ready to play at home? I'd be shocked if this is anything but a final possession kind of game there on Sunday.
No excuses, even if you're behind the 8 ball, which the Yankees were, down 0-1 in a best of 3, which means they had to win game number 2 and game number 3 in their own building, and they did that with a 4-0 victory yesterday over the Boston Red Sox, which saw an unbelievable performance out of Cam Schlittler. 8 innings pitched, 5 hits, no earned runs, 12 strikeouts, 107 pitches here. He was the superstar the Yankees needed last night in the Bronx.
You never know what you're going to have, right? You got a kid starting out in Double-A ball to the season, and as it turns out, injuries kind of force your hand to bring the kid up, and this is what you got. He saves your season on the biggest stage at the biggest moment in a record-setting performance where I believe the first guy to strike out 12, go, 8 innings, no walks as a rookie pitcher in a postseason game. You could not have asked for anything better from this kid here. And the Yankees, well, now they got to parlay that into a series win against Toronto.
And how about that? Beat a division rival. Go ahead and play another division rival here. We'll have some fun there. Yep. That game will be from the 6 in Toronto to the Bronx in New York, best of 5. Cannot wait to see that start. And it will start on Saturday afternoon. Let's keep the good times rolling here. 76 sounds like a perfect number. Whether it's the birthplace of a nation or the Philadelphia 76ers as a team, 76. How about that for your NCAA tournament? Expected possibly in the next year, Joe. Come on now. Join in.
Oh, yeah, because, who's not going to love to watch Murray State get buried by Duke in the 88th round that apparently we have to play? Yeah, no, I think it's great because Cinderellas are alive and well in March Madness, Donnie. Like, come on. This is such a money grab. Stop it.
Look, and here's what I want to say. I love social media. I love the back and forth of social media, and it's fun. But I see so many complainers out there. And every time I just have a rebuttal back You're going to watch this. What are you complaining? Like, if this is, I can't stand what they're doing in the NFL with the kickoff. I'm never watching again. Ludicrous. I'm watching even if they don't have a kickoff at this point in the NFL. Stop complaining. Sit back and enjoy it. The more, the merrier. You'll love it when it comes up here. How about the PGA Tour? They're not loving their own fans at this point, which maybe was the only positive for me out of the Ryder Cup experience, that the fans had more passion than the players themselves. Don't apologize. We don't want a softer, gentler, kinder Ryder Cup. We love this. And by the way, Europe, if you watched what you saw and didn't like it, ramp it up when you get it at home in 2 years. Yell at the Americans. Maybe that'll fire them up, Joe.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's also be careful not to put, everybody in that same bucket of a few unrulies.
Put them all in there. Put everybody in there.
The passion was there, and I love watching these country club guys just get all uncomfortable, Donnie. I think it's absolutely fantastic. But you know what? They rose to the occasion, and they threw it back with their play on the golf course. And that's what it should be, that back and forth. I mean, the golf clap, come on. That is, no. Give me more of what we had at the Ryder Cup.
I'm telling you, the PGA Tour will be massive if you were allowed to heckle golfers that you didn't like. Come on, I got a 3-team parlay out there with you needing to get a par on this hole. Like, fantastic stuff. We need more of that at this point. You know what we need less of? Talk about the WNBA. It's Caitlin Clark. What did she do now? She signed a shoe deal. Why is she even talking at this point? Isn't the season over, Joe? What's going on?
Yeah. Who is she? I thought is she playing? Is she where are we in the WNBA, Donnie?
I'll tell you where we are next. Coach Terry Bowden's going to join us. That's the information and the man we need right now.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 circuit sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for 2, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Mike Trout, will he ask for a trade? And maybe I'm a bit of a Neanderthal for asking this, and people are going to say, listen, he's never leaving. I refuse to accept that we're just not going to get Mike Trout postseason baseball ever again. Because clearly when healthy, he can still do it. But he's also rarely healthy and still kind of expensive. It's complicated.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played. It definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think in a weird way that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
It's a Football Friday right here on the early line on the SportsGrid Network, and it's time to get down to the business. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Ranieri. Let's bring in Coach Terry Bowden. You see him all over the SportsGrid Network, giving you the information that you need to set up your Saturdays, Coach. Love when you're here. Thanks for joining us this morning.
I just hope we're not going to stick on the WNBA. Please, let's go on to college football.
College football is the name of the game today. And by the way, Coach, I know maybe you're tight with Chief Osceola because we got a big one down in Tallahassee this weekend. The Miami Hurricanes, the Florida State Seminoles. And, Coach, I want to start here, even without the spread line itself. Football is better when Miami and Florida State have meaningful, impactful games. Over the years, you've had a front seat to all of this here.
Right.
Talk about the passion between Miami and Florida State and how big it is to the state of Florida and the nation when both of these teams are good.
But you're exactly right. For almost 2 decades, that was the game of the year every year. Miami, Florida State, Miami. It was always Bobby Bowden because he was there 34 years, but it went from Howard Snellenberger to the next coach, to Dennis Erickson, to Jimmy Johnson. They kept winning and kept winning. My dad would have had 8 national championships if he just had not missed field goals against Miami.
Coach, tell me about this game now, because I'm fascinated with the total. I still think we're getting points in this game, but the market seems to be pushing this total down. Who does that favor? I mean, who do you like in this game? Are we looking shootout, or is this going to be all in the trenches?
Well, you know what I think I'm worried about? I think it's more of a shootout. After watching the Virginia game, I'm concerned about FSU's defense. They could not get Virginia off the field. That didn't look like an upset. That wasn't 8 fumbles or interceptions galore. That was a 75-play, 12-play, 75-yard drive once, 12-play, 70-yard drive twice, 3 times, 67% third downs. I'm concerned that playing a good team like Miami, FSU won't be able to get them off the field a lot. It'll be up to Tommy Castellanos to stay on the field. He's got to have a great day, because I've got Miami's defense is number 1 in the ACC. And right now, because of the concern I have for FSU's defense, I think it's a Miami game to win.
Going to be so much fun to watch this play out, all the pomp, circumstance, and the pageantry, 2 top 20 teams here, and it's going to decide probably the ACC in the long term here, at least who gets to that championship game. But, Coach, another great game in the state of Florida. Record-wise, not maybe the case. The Florida Gators, how about this line against the Texas Longhorns? Opened up over a touchdown, Coach. You'll see this graphic pop up. We're down to 4.5. Arch Manning and the boys on the road. Maybe a last stand for the Gators on Saturday?
Well, there will be a last stand, but it'll be Texas scoring in the last minute. Because I like the thing, because they're going to win by a touch. This is going to be the Miami game all over again, where Florida, because they're playing great defense, and they played great defense all year, they're going to contain Texas. Texas has overachieved. Arch Manning has underachieved offensively. Arch Manning has underachieved. I think it's a defensive football game. They've got an excellent defense at Texas, lacking offensively at Florida as well. It's going to be a defensive game, but in the fourth quarter, with it close, I think Texas gets that final touchdown and wins by 7.
Coach, you got to love it. A year ago, right, we watch Alabama beat Georgia. Everybody's celebrating. And then all of a sudden, Bama's got to take on Vanderbilt. Oh, that didn't work out well. And wouldn't you know it, Coach, they just beat Georgia, and now they got to take on Vandy again here this week. So what happens in this battle of top 25 teams?
Well, no surprises now for Alabama. We've all accepted the fact that Vandy is for real. And they've had 12 months to think about it after. And that whole town, that whole program was miserable after the Vanderbilt game last year. Nothing made them feel better after that football game. So it's always been circled on their calendar as the big game coming up. And I believe Alabama is more like they used to be now after I watched them against Georgia. So Vandy, they're for real. And I love the way they play, but Alabama's going to win. But give me Vandy in the points. They're not going to beat Vandy by 10 points.
Diego Pavia and the boys looking to do something we unheard of. Back-to-back victories for Vanderbilt over Alabama, even in Alabama. We'll see that play out on a Saturday, Coach. But also, I know you got to love this. Resurrecting a team that says, you know what? We're still in it here for the season. Notre Dame off to the 0-2 start, but against 2 ranked opponents. They cleaned up their act over the past 2 games. Now going to face Boise at home as close to a 3-touchdown favorite. Coach, Notre Dame looking really good on offense now, huh?
They have. They've averaged 56 points the last couple of games. Woo. They're on a 2-game streak. But Boise, after losing that opener against South Florida, are on a 3-game winning streak. And when I look at this game, I don't look at who's going to win. I think Notre Dame's going to win. I look at that 20.5, those points. they're both running teams. Both are going to run the football. And when two teams run the football, the clock keeps running. So it's not like Notre Dame can't win. They're just comfortable winning by 20, not 21.
Looks like one of the best offenses we have seen in a very long time with this kid Carr. He's the real deal here, Coach. But that defense don't look like what it was a year ago for Notre Dame, though. Is that the issue with this team?
Well, I think that's where you have to concern yourself. I'm not saying they're terrible on defense, but they were so good last year that kept them in ball games. I think we've still got to see this. The Boise's just not that bad of a football team. They're going to have three backs that run the football. And I'm not saying they can beat Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame has a chance to run the table and get back in the playoff hunt, because I had pretty much X'd them out after 2 losses. But the way they've been playing, I've got them winning. I've got them winning this game. I just think the way the two teams are going to play, the way they're going to run the football, and Boise's kind of on a roll too with 3 straight wins. I just think it's going to be hard to get 21 points ahead with that clock running. With both teams can run that football.
Coach, let me get your take here on the AP Top 25 poll. Ohio State sits number 1, Oregon now number 2, Miami sits at number 3, Ole Miss there at number 4, and OU at number 5. Penn State sits there at number 7. What do we think about the AP Top 24? Any yes, they deserve to be here, or no, you'd have a team lower?
No, I mean, I think it's going to continue to change as these teams play each other. But Ohio State, he who has the greatest defense is going to be number 1 and win it. Ohio State has the best talent, and they have the best defense. But let me tell you something. Oregon right now, the way they're playing with offense and defense, I've got them up there because my dark horse was Penn State. But that was a good game, went to overtime. Don't knock Penn State out. Ole Miss is kind of a neat sleeper down here in the South.
You know who's number 1 with us? It's Coach Terry Bowden. He joins us each and every week. Thanks, Coach. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you, man.
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there is some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. You're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness.
He's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in,
right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquel Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. And you can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, man. Are we hitting everything, Joe? Like, we might as well be baseball players, hitting home run after home run today, getting the people the information they need. Tom Vecchio joined us. Coach Terry Bowden joined us. We're talking about baseball. We're talking about NCAA action. We're talking about the NFL, which brings us to a nice little slate on Sunday. Maybe the game of the 1 o'clock hours here is the Denver Broncos taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. This line hasn't moved much all week, between 4.5 to 3.5, depending on where you're shopping at, but a low total, Joe, of 43.5. Do you see this as a defensive battle? Because quite frankly, I think we're going over in this game. I do.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, this is a game that is going to be decided in the trenches, Donnie, without a doubt, because we know Philadelphia's defense, the whole identity of it starts up front, right? With Jalen Carter and Ojomo, and it's about the pass rush. So, they got to figure out a way to be able to run the ball. I don't know that the best way to do this here is to have Bo Nix dropping back time again. I think they absolutely need to figure out and stick with running the ball. And I'm kind of with you. I think points could be coming here. I think short fields could be coming. I don't love the spot for the Eagles coming out of Tampa and basically going MIA in the second half there, but listen, Denver has got to prove it. We know Bo Nix can win at home. Can he do it on the road? And is this defense of Denver as good as we think they are? I think we're going to find out relatively quickly.
I'll tell you, if you do like the under, you do have two things working in your favor, right, Joe? Who played on Monday Night Football? That was the Denver Broncos. Short work week here, traveling to the East Coast, but also the Eagles. It takes a lot out of you, man. When you play in 100-plus degree temperatures in a game that you're crumbling down the stretch, who knows who's going to be the more energetic side to start this game? But I still do like points more than staying under in this one. Houston and Baltimore, the question is not who's going to be under center. We think it's going to be Cooper Rush. Who else is going to play for the Baltimore Ravens? And the Baltimore Ravens as an underdog. You'll see the graphic coming up at 1.5. That's the best of it right now. 2.5. Could we see threes by Sunday as a favorite for Houston? It's not as if Houston's coming to town, Joe. I don't care how many injuries Boston has at 3-1 or 4-0, whatever it might be. They won their first game last week against the lowly Titans. Come on now. Is Baltimore going to lose again?
Well, I got to tell you, to me, I think the total is the best way to look at this game. There is no way I am trusting the Texans offense with all the injuries given on the defensive side of Baltimore to go on the road and somehow flip a light switch, Donnie, and become this offensive juggernaut. I think this is going to be a rock fight. I think its points are going to be hard to come by. If I can get 40.5 in this game, I don't think we get to 40 points, Donnie. I think this is going to be a 20-14, 17-10 kind of game here.
By the way, what is this cryptic tweet I'm seeing here right now at this point here? Bleacher Report sent out this. C.J. Stroud said he feels like he's lost some athleticism as he gets older. He was watching his high school highlights, reminiscing on his quickness. He's 23. You're supposed to be in the peak. You tell me right now, like when I went from high school football to college football, when I was an 18-year-old, then I found out what the weight room actually meant, and I was 22 my senior year. I never looked back and said, boy, man, I lost some athleticism from 18. What's this guy talking about?
No, it's not that you lost athleticism, CJ. It's that you're playing alongside guys that are better than you, and that's the difference. You're not playing Kennesaw State every week. Wow. So, you're playing guys that, they are every bit, if not more athletic than you. So it's not that you're getting older. It's just you're not as good as you thought you were.
Man, what cold hard reality right there. That's not like a Caffeinated Joe segment on the horizon for maybe Monday or Tuesday after they get beat by the Baltimore Ravens. File that one away. How about this? Overseas, Carson Wentz is going to be there. Dylan Gabriel. By the way, if it was Carson Wentz again on a Vikings game early morning going up against Joe Flacco, I'm like, you know what? I might sleep in for this one. I got to tell you, I like this game again, and it's still a favorite for the Minnesota Vikings at 3.5 to 4.5, depending on where you're shopping at. But the total, Joe, 35.5. What is this, Army, Navy?
Well, it clearly favors the Vikings because they have been there now for 2 weeks, and they volunteered for this opportunity to go back-to-back in London. So now we've seen this before, teams that have had time to adjust their internal clocks to play over there, that stayed there. They've done pretty well in that second game. The problem is, we have absolutely no idea who's on the offensive line for the Vikings. Everybody is hurt. Darrisaw's not. That might be the only saving grace here. But my goodness, that's such a low total, Donnie. It really, really is in this game.
By the way, also, like Dylan Gabriel, like what's the expectations for this game for Dylan Gabriel?
Yeah.
I wonder if he performs well. Like, is he going to be the starter the rest of the year, or is it going to be a merry-go-round? Like, we're just going to play the guy we feel gives us the best chance this week. Something to keep an eye on. Also, let's take a look at Jets Cowboys coming up right after the break.
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there is some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. That's you're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
he's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where like Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in.
Right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquil Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. You can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Dallas and the New York Jets. Ooh, boy. Dallas looking to resurrect their season after a tie against the Green Bay Packers, and the Jets with a moral victory that said, hey, we could still move the football in offense with Justin Fields. This line opened up, Joe, -2.5, and now it total sits at 47.5. We're going to take a look now and hear why Justin Fields feels like maybe we're around the corner from winning some football games, but hey, I'm making some money. All's good.
I mean, we're blessed at the end of the day. You look at the bigger picture in life. We're getting paid well to play a child sport, so I think that's one. Just like I said, just looking at the bigger picture. No matter what everybody goes through, at least this is my mindset. No matter what I go through in this game, I'm always going to keep a positive mindset just because I know how blessed I am. But in kind of other terms, what I think you're looking for is, like I said after the game Sunday, we've lost 3 games by 1 score. So I think, that's a positive to look at. And I think if we clean up, turnovers, penalties, that's definitely going to put us in a better position to secure those wins instead of, saying we're close and this and that. But focusing on us, not necessarily our opponents, but fixing everything that we can to put ourselves in the best position to win.
Jets are at that stage, Joe. We're losing as a positive. Help me out.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the Cowboys first here. The Cowboys had last week, they were down 2 starting offensive linemen. Looks like they're going to be down a possible 3rd one heading into this game. And the good news for the Jets is Jermaine Johnson could be back on the field for him, and he is the legit Jets edge rusher here that could get to the quarterback and put some pressure on him. Listen, there is no way you can trust. This Cowboys defense is absolutely horrific. Even Justin Fields would be able to make them, pay for it with the soft zone they play. So To me, I think points are coming in this game. I love the over in this spot here. I don't trust either team's defense to be able to get anything done, and both offenses have shown they can pick apart some soft defenses here. So why not? Give me the over in this spot. Let's expect a good old-fashioned shootout here with Dallas and the Jets of all things.
Yeah, give me 50 yards on the ground out of Justin Fields. Give me 70 out of Brees. Give me about $110, or I should I say 210 in the air. Yeah, we should be able to get after, because Dak Prescott will move the football against that New York Jets defense. Should be a good one. Also, good weather in the Meadowlands this weekend on that Sunday afternoon. The Giants, who do play in the Meadowlands, won't be in the Meadowlands this weekend. They'll be down in New Orleans to take on the New Orleans Saints and Spencer Rattler. Slight favorite right now for the New Orleans Saints, and a total listed at 41.5. All those good vibes for Jackson Dart in start number 1. Can they continue, Joe, in start number 2 for Dart?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting here, right? Because he just went up against a Chargers defense that doesn't give up a whole lot. And now he's going up against the Saints defense that does give up a whole lot of plays here. So what are we going to get? I think the game plan is the most important thing here for Dart. I think the Saints offense has been way more run heavy as of late here. I think they did a great job, showed some moxie going up against Buffalo there in Buffalo, but ultimately Buffalo too talented, too much. I think this game is going to be close. I mean, call me crazy. I don't trust the Saints coming home after that Buffalo game to win it, but I do think points might be coming here. I would not be shocked if we get an over 41.5 points in this game.
Wandell's going to be showing up here. Cam Scatterboo running through people's faces. Hey, could happen down in New Orleans this weekend. Let's take a look at a game in Indy. That's going to be the Vegas Raiders going from Vegas to Indy this weekend. Geno Smith, he'll throw some touchdowns, also throw some interceptions, but the offense is certainly cruising for the Indianapolis Colts. Should have been if they just didn't have so many mistakes last week against the Los Angeles Rams. They're looking to rectify those mistakes. And also, that key number, Joe, sitting at 6.5 sometimes, 7.5 at other outlets as well, 47.5 as a total. I like this Indy Colts team, man. I do think they'll be able to handle their business. The question, though, is if you want to lay the touchdown or not, Joe.
Yeah, well, the defense of the Colts took a little bit of a hit. No nickelback Kenny Moore for this game. Yeah. The offensive line for Geno took a hit there. Colton Miller, his starting left guard, is not going to be in this game. Indy shot themselves in the foot. They get to come home. Listen, Vegas has been selling out to stop the run. That's what has been their defensive game plan because their secondary is atrocious. They're coming after Danny Dimes. Can he take advantage of it? I think. To me, this is another over. Geno's going to sling it around. They're going to do their best to take advantage of the holes in the secondary of Indy. Indoors, no weather issues. Give me another over here. I think this lands in the 50s when it's all said and done.
Something to keep an eye on, too. Brock Bowers, who, again, one of the more dominating young tight ends in the sport, gets banged. Number one, hasn't been the same, struggling to get through practices, didn't practice yesterday. Maybe it's just a rest day, but also playing on turf this weekend. That's never fun when you have a knee injury or trying to baby a certain injury situation. Something to keep an eye on. They don't have Brock Bowers at 100%. That certainly could be a deficit for them going up against the Colts here. Keep it moving, the Dolphins and the Panthers. We talked a little about this game earlier when we went over some spread lines. Tua Tagovailoa versus Bryce Young. 44.5 is a total. The favorite for Miami at -1.5. But Chuba Hubbard not expected to play. Maybe their best offensive weapon here. And from what we saw out of Mr. Young last week, man, is this a Dolphins Sunday game? Maybe.
Short week. Dolphins a favorite on the road. But Carolina, think about it. They traded Thielen to the Vikings before the season starts, right? Why? Yeah. Because they had their young wide receiver in Jalen Coker that they loved. The problem is, as soon as they traded Thielen, he ended up getting a quad injury the next day, and he's been out since. So David Moore was just placed on the IR. That was their other wide receiver. Now their tight end, Sanders, is out with it. This poor Bryce Young's literally got nobody to throw to. Again, we just saw this with the 49ers. This is a different Carolina team on the road than what we've seen at home. I think their back is up against the wall. I don't trust Miami being a favorite anywhere. I do think Carolina getting 1.5 points is absolutely viable in a 6-point teaser this week.
How about this? Does it change the venue here for Tennessee? If they're good at home, they're good away, or as the quarterback says, they're ass at home and ass on the road? Take a look at this one. Ward versus Murray, and we don't even love Arizona, but they are over a touchdown favorite. You're sitting at -8.5 and a total 41.5. Use a 41.5. Arizona's going to score some points. Yeah, but is Tennessee going to get any first downs in this game, Joe?
We ass.
They are total ass. I mean, they are awful. And they could be, there is a chance this could be a historically bad offense over the last decade here. I mean, they're only averaging 17 yards per possession, Donnie. They can't even get first downs. I mean, they are absolutely horrific here. And I don't see it getting any better in this spot here, although there are some injury issues here also with Arizona that we need to keep in mind. So they are a little bit banged up as well here, but ultimately, there's nothing redeeming about this offense here for Tennessee. I got a lot of guys I know looking to back the team total under for Tennessee. They're either going to lose by 20 or this thing's going to be some sort of wild shootout. It's one or the other, Donnie, here in this game.
I reminisce. How about Baker Mayfield reminiscing about him and Sam Darnold here? How about this clip from the Carolina days?
Reminisce about the good old days in Carolina? What are you talking about?
Reminisce about what days?
Good old days in Carolina?
Oh, nope.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Escape from Carolina. It's what good quarterbacks do. Sam Darnold, he's loving life now. So is Baker Mayfield. They're going to tee it up in the Pacific Northwest as a 3-point favorite towards Seattle in this game, a total of 44.5. Never count Baker Mayfield out as the dog.
You can't, Donnie. I mean, he's been too good as a dog. He's been absolute money as a dog with this Bucs team. And listen, the Seahawks, they're a little bit vulnerable if they can't run the ball. And we know Tampa's defense, they're going to stop the run. They're going to be pretty good at it here. I think Tampa, they're a live dog here, Donnie.
Cincinnati, run for cover. The Lions are coming to town. We'll talk about that game next right here on the early line.
Genti between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of, they're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage, and frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race, and this is partly due to Emeka Buka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers, Ted McMillan, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The leader right now in the clubhouse in the odds market is Fernando Mendoza. College football purists, yep, absolutely know that guy. Fantastic. He's a great quarterback. Non-purists who are tuning in just for the biggest games, who is this guy, Joe, and how did he get here?
Well, he came from Cal. He's a mobile kid. He's big. He's about 6'3", about 220. He's a gutty kid and had a great performance for Kirk Cignetti.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
We're in a weird place with Trevor Lawrence. This was another one of these quote-unquote can't-miss generational quarterback prospects, right? Everybody was salivating over when he was a freshman winning national championships. And here we are, about 5 years later, looking at ourselves going, is it just time for Trevor Lawrence to get a change of venue or something? Like, what's got to give here? Hopefully this Liam Cohen offense starts to come together.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The Americans got to find answers in these partnerships, and I think they need to look at their who's making these decisions from a stat standpoint.
Well, it's so funny to me, especially coming off of the Walker Cup just a few weeks before, how it just seems like there's this glaring chasm between American partnered match play and American individual, singles match play.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You know, in the movie The Program, which was a fantastic movie in the 1990s, dealt with college football, a little bit of the inflated side of it, but still a fun watch nonetheless. You should check it out. What they used to say is, you know what? We're going to put the women and children in the bed and go out hunting for the boys. That might be what's happening for the Detroit Lions this weekend going up against that Cincinnati defense. My question to you, Joe, is not if Detroit can win this game. Yes, can they cover the 10 points? Will this game go over the 48.5? But how many stops is Cincinnati getting? And also, Mr. Browning, hello, the football season is here. You're supposed to save the day. What gives in this one?
Yeah, well, again, be careful here because this is another situation where recency bias is going to come into play, right? So, it's like, oh boy, this Cincinnati team is terrible. And yes, they have some issues. And Detroit, of course, has looked the part once again. But what are we doing here? Double digits here on the road, outdoors, and say what you want with Cincinnati. Listen, the one game that they actually played well enough and won and covered was at home against Jacksonville, who also looks pretty good here. So the value is on Cincinnati. Make no mistake about it. Well, listen, will they win the game? Probably not. Can they stay within double digits at home? Yeah, absolutely they can here, Donnie. Backs are against the wall. I would expect this team to be better at home as an underdog than anything on the road at this point with a backup quarterback.
I think this game might be sponsored by the movie The Smashing Machine that's coming out. You see those like highlights across there with, The Rock looking like Mark Kerr, doesn't look like himself. This game, they might get smashed in this one, which means I'm going to be diving in for some good prop bets on that game. No doubt about it at 425. You know who else might get some good prop bets? How about Jaden Daniels? Hey, Bow, back in the lineup, going to take on the Chargers, who looking to bounce back themselves. They lost to the Giants last week, and they're a little bit injured, particularly on their offensive line, but they're still favorites over the Commanders at -2.5 in a total that lists around 47.5 to 46.5, depending on where you're shopping at. Rusty Jaden Daniels, Justin Herbert on the comeback tour. What are we looking at for this game for you, Joe?
Well, we're looking at a lot of injuries on the offensive line right now, right, Donnie? I mean, more than anything else, that's the issue here. No Joe Alt. You already lost Slater. So there's a lot of guys mixing and matching on that front offensive line of the Chargers, which means you're going to have to rely on Hampton. You're going to have to try to run the ball. You're going to have to try to protect Herbert as best as possible. I think it's a little easier said than done here. I think McLaurin being sidelined, not great. But even with McLaurin being sidelined and you had Marcus Mariota running the offense, they still put up 27 points last week.
Yeah.
So why not? But we haven't seen the Jaden Daniels of a year ago in his couple of starts so far this year. So I'm going to be real interested to see what we get from him here and how hurt is he? Donnie, I think that's the other big question. We'll know, I think, rather quickly against this defense.
Yeah, sprained knee where you're not playing on grass. You will be on turf here. We'll see if that acts up at this point, but certainly something to watch out for. And also the Friday practice reports coming out. Teams will clear players. Teams will tell players, you ain't playing this weekend. The expectations, Daniels will be under center this weekend. Icy white uniforms in Buffalo. Sunday night football rivalry. New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. Like this game, Joe, we're expecting points sitting at 49.5 and a touchdown plus favorite for the Buffalo Bills. I think May moves the football. Allen moves the football. We get a good show on Sunday Night Football, Joe.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good show, in fact. And again, Buffalo at this point is, they're not interested in these monster spreads. And we talked about it last week. The look-ahead line, Donnie, for this game was 10.5. And we saw, of course, nothing but the Bills not being bet and the Patriot money come in, putting it all the way down to 8, maybe even 7.5. Listen, anything more than a touchdown, I feel like you got to take it with New England and Mike Vrabel here. It's always a tough battle in the division, but I don't expect the Patriots to pull off the upset. But I think if you can get the 8 points, I think you should take the 8 points with New England in this spot.
Duval. That's where we're going for Monday Night Football. Good one here. Battle in the AFC. The Jacksonville Jaguars taking on and being the home team against the Kansas City Chiefs, who have resurrected their season and still waiting on some more reserves to come back. We're looking at you, Rashee Rice. They, talking about Kansas City, a favorite, Joe, on the road at -3.5, and a total listed at 46.5. Liam and the boys at home. Can they spring the upset on Monday Night Football?
Well, listen, they're more than capable of doing that. I mean, they beat the Panthers as expected in week 1. They should have beaten the Bengals in week 2 there. They did bounce back. Nice wins over the Texans and the 49ers. But again, the unknown here is Kansas City. Kansas City going on the road, having Worthy back, much more confidence now in the offense. I just worry that Trevor Lawrence, against that defense of Spags in Kansas City, is going to figure out a way to hand the ball back to Mahomes in Kansas City when he shouldn't, and that is ultimately what's going to cost them the game.
How about this next game board, Joe? You want to talk about hypotheticals? How about the Bengals and the Broncos? You want to break that game down? What do you think? Bengals, Broncos this weekend. Any thoughts?
I love the Bengals and the Broncos. Yeah, that should be, I'm going to go tie. I think that's going to be a tie, Donnie. That's where I'm going there.
Love to see it. By the way, this weekend, it's not a great slate, but there are some intriguing spots, like Denver and Philadelphia at 1 o'clock. Houston, Baltimore might not make anybody's television. I'm intrigued by that. Baltimore going to 1-4. And by the way, Joe, is there a buy-in point for you on the Baltimore Ravens? Because we know they're going to probably get these players back, including Lamar Jackson. They're playing in a division they're still roughly expected to win this year. What is your buy-in point on the Ravens? Do you just wait it out or say, Donnie, I think they can win this game this weekend against the Texans? Or do you wait till after the game and hope they lose?
Look, to me, the Ravens are another half of that 6-point teaser. You want to give me 7.5 points with the Ravens at home? I don't care who's playing,
Ooh.
Donnie, at that point. I will take them and I will use them as half my teasers here this week, because over a touchdown, I'll take the Ravens. I don't care who's playing.
Yeah, we usually see Snoop Huntley in this situation for the Baltimore Ravens, but it's going to be Cooper Rush. And Tom Vecchio was on earlier saying, fade that guy this weekend. I don't know, man. I'm feeling ravened up, and I feel like I'm going to get burned, and maybe I should just stay away and not say, man, I can't believe I put my money on Cooper Rush. But still an interesting circumstance nonetheless. The 4 o'clock slate there, Tampa Bay, Seattle, love that. Detroit should be putting up points, and then a good football game on Sunday night. It's a Football Friday on the SportsGrid Network. No better place to be. Joe Neary and Donnie Rightside shutting it down next with some best bets.
Ashton Genty, between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of, they're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage. And frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race. And this is partly due to Emeka Buka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers. Ted McMillan, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The leader right now in the clubhouse in the odds market is Fernando Mendoza. College football purists, yep, absolutely know that guy. Fantastic. He's a great quarterback. Non-purists who are tuning in just for the biggest games, who is this guy, Joe, and how did he get here?
He came from Cal. He's a mobile kid. He's big. He's about 6'3", about 220. He's a gutty kid and had a great performance for Kirk Signetti.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
We're in a weird place with Trevor Lawrence. This was another one of these quote-unquote can't-miss generational quarterback prospects, right? Everybody was salivating over when he was a freshman winning national championships. And here we are, about 5 years later, looking at ourselves going, is it just time for Trevor Lawrence to get a change of venue or something? What's got to give here? Hopefully this Liam Cohen offense starts to come together.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The Americans got to find answers in these partnerships, and I think they need to look at their who's making these decisions from a stat standpoint.
Well, it's so funny to me, especially coming off of the Walker Cup just a few weeks before, how it just seems like there's this glaring chasm between American partnered match play and American individual, singles match play.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You earned it, people. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, out the window. Football Friday right here on the Sports Grid Network. We covered every single angle you are going to need for this weekend. But this time, Joe, this is where we like to reach out to the people and say, we need your help on a certain question. This is our Fave the Public poll. If you haven't done so yet, go over to X, hit the follow button. Like, you can follow there at Joe Ranieri, at Donnie Rightside. That's all fine and good. We know you've already done that. But if you're not following at SportsGrid, how can you answer these questions? A simple question was asked today. Will the Yankees or Dodgers go back to the World Series? I got to fess up. I read this through and said, okay, that's it. Wait, they made it? Like, I guess I'm 48 years old and I forget. I'm telling you, like, I had no idea the Yankees were in the World Series last year because we usually forget the loser and always remember the victors. But the question was asked, will they get back-to-back here on this? Yes, 36% live. No, 63%. How about that? Not going to be a Yankees-Dodgers series. The people are telling you.
I think they got it right, Donnie, because at this point, given the road to the postseason is, I think you have right around those kinds of odds here that you're going to get one, if not both of them back there. Both are the favorites in their divisions, right? American League, National League, we put those numbers up earlier. So I think there's a 50-50 chance one of them at least runs the table and gets back to the World Series.
Which, again, the question doesn't ask, like, both of them, but if you expect, like, to get back a rematch of the World Series, it's or. So you get both the Yankees and the Dodgers, who, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, the odds on, chances for them to get there, they're the favorites. We'll see if they get there or not. But no for the public. Yeah, I think everybody's just hating on them, which I respect it, too. As a Philadelphia fan, let's hate on the Yankees. Let's hate on the Dodgers. More good comes out of that than not at this point. But at this point, Joe, more good comes out of Joe Ranieri because he's dealing out victories here. It's time for bye, bye, bye. No NFL, no Major League Baseball, college football, center stage Joe Ranieri. Where's he going tonight?
Yeah, well, we hit that first 5 under yesterday, Donnie, keeping the winning ways rolling here. Let's do it tonight in college football. And I am going to go out west for one of the late games, and I'm going to focus on West Virginia heading to Provo to take on BYU. And I'm going to focus on the total, Donnie, because I can't understand this total at 46.5. It has come down. It opened up at 47. 46.5 are available. You're talking about a West Virginia team that's only averaged about 16 points a game. They no longer have their starting quarterback. And now Rich Rod has got to fly across the country to Provo here on a short week and start rotating quarterbacks, his second and third guys who can't throw the ball. Offensively, this is a very challenged West Virginia team, not to mention you've got a BYU defense that only gives up an average of 12 points a game. At home in this spot. Both offenses extremely slow-paced. BYU is not an up-tempo team. There is no way I see them hurry up to the line of scrimmage and try to run away with this game. I don't know where the points are coming from West Virginia. I don't think they get a lot, but I don't think we get anywhere near 47 points in this game either, given West Virginia has done a pretty good job defensively, even though they lack offensive weapons. I think the under is the play here tonight, Donnie, at 46.5 at BYU.
There you go. Joe's going for himself a little under tonight for me. What about this? I'm going to go for a little Henny. I don't drink, and I don't mean Hennessy. I'm going Delaware Blue Hens tonight. Taking on Western Kentucky in a Conference USA battle. Did you know Delaware, Joe's favored at 2.5 here? That's where the play is going to be, a total of 61.5. Have you seen the Italian stallion at quarterback? That's Nick Minicucci here. 141 passing attempts, 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. Have you seen Joe Silver at running back? He's averaging 7.2 yards per carry. Good for 326 on the season and 3 touchdowns and a long of 70 here. Henny is on deck tonight. The Delaware Blue Hens, -2.5. Stunning Western Kentucky at home. You don't come to a place that has no corporate tax and expect to walk away with a victory. That's Delaware, baby. We're getting it done tonight.
That is the biggest pros versus Joes game on the card, Donnie.
And we don't mean Joe Biden.
No,
yeah.
No, wrong Joe. But that is a big public running to back Western Kentucky, and yet that line still remains 2.5, don't it? Yes, it does.
Let's go, Delaware. Come on, the Delaware Wing Tee, the famous helmets, Joe. Get down to business here. That's what we've done, and what a week it was right here on the early line. For Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back bright and early Monday morning for more fun.